I don't know why I did this, but I decided to do it. I went ahead and ordered and purchased bottles of Armani's Stronger With You Leather and Stronger With You Oud. I could only get a 50 ml of the Stronger With You Oud. Of course, I found a 100 ml bottle of the Stronger With You Leather. And I'm not a big fan of this collection, let alone Armani, but I was very excited for these two fragrances. I ended up getting them, and I'm going to tell you all about them. Are they worth it? Find out coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about Armani Stronger With You Leather and Armani Stronger With You Oud. The leather came out in 2020. The Oud came out in 2022. You know, I actually was searching for the Stronger With You Oud on my travels. Couldn't find it anywhere. Of course, they're very exclusively released for the Middle Eastern market. But they were at discounters, so that's how I ended up buying these. I paid about $160 for the 100 ml of the leather. I paid about $130 for the 50 ml of the oud. Which one do I like better? Surprising, very, very surprising. I was more excited about the oud. I ended up liking the leather more. But I have to be honest, I'm not a fan of this collection whatsoever. Every single one of the fragrances in this collection I hated. But I was very excited about these, and the only way I could smell them is if I bought them, because nobody sells these. And I don't buy samples online or anything like that, so I had to end up buying bottles. So the leather launched in 2020. Cecile Matton is the perfumer for both of these fragrances. And you know, there's no websites to look up for these fragrances, official websites like Armani doesn't display them or anything. Maybe there might be a Middle Eastern Armani website might list these, but I couldn't find it. I did find a Sephora for the Middle East, and they were listing it there. They didn't mention a sex for this fragrance because I knew that this is a male targeted release, and even though the databases say this is for men, the Sephora website that is for the Middle East said this is a unisex fragrance. So what do you guys think? Are these both unisex or for men? Because I doubt they're making a woman's version of the oud and the leather, because there is a Stronger With You collection of fragrances for women, I believe. I haven't paid too much attention, but I do enjoy the leather a lot more. But the notes for the leather are leather, Elemi, and Lavandin. That's what it says on the Sephora website for the Middle East. And then also that's what it says on Parfumo.com or .net. You know, I get the Lavandin, it's lavender obviously, and I get a lot of leather. It's more buttery, it's soft leather, it doesn't have a lot of roughness, but there's definitely a little smokiness there. And of course I also get the Elemi, the resin, this fragrance does become resinous. But there's lots of aromatics here, it's because of the Lavandin of course. Lavender is aromatic, it's one of the aromatic notes, and of course I get spiciness from that as well. But there's definitely something creamy, buttery, vanillic about this one, and they don't mention vanilla for this fragrance. Of course, there's got to be a lot of vanilla because I experience it, lots of it. They mention not lavender. They mention vanilla for the oud, but I don't get a lot of vanilla in that one at all. I mean, eventually it becomes vanillic and sweeter as it's drying down, but up top with this one, it's all very dark, woody, and smoky. There's a little bit of a gourmand-like experience here as well, maybe lightly nutty, a little, I would say kind of caramel butterscotchy leather kind of a thing, where I'm getting the butterscotch and buttery leather experience kind of combined together, if that makes sense. This also, the leather has a little bit of the DNA of the Stronger With You line. As I said, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's tolerable here. And I appreciate the Stronger With You leather a lot more than the Stronger With You oud. Now moving on to the oud, for me, it's all smoke and woods. That's all it is. It's almost like charred wood smoke experience. Very light on the lavandin, which is the lavender, and very light on the vanilla. It takes a while for it to get to the sweeter parts, but it is a lot more smoke than sweets throughout the whole entire lifetime of this particular fragrance. I compared them side by side as well, the two together. I don't get much of this Stronger With You DNA here in the oud. I get it in here, and once again, I appreciated and enjoyed the leather a lot more than the oud. those are my thoughts, initial thoughts about these. They do seem really beefy. They have great longevity. I think makes sense because they're created for the Middle Eastern market. They like these kind of fragrances. But do Middle Easterners really enjoy the Stronger With You collection of fragrances to make these flankers for these fragrances? I mean, they've got so many flankers for these fragrances now, and now we have these exclusive flankers. So I don't know if it's the right market to target these fragrances. Why not make these fragrances for the entire world? I mean, the Middle Easterners I know are buying a lot more expensive fragrances than these ones. So to make it exclusive just for them, it doesn't make sense for me. So they should just release these for the entire world is what I'm trying to say, not keep them exclusive. Because I'm not sure if the Middle Eastern market is really like going gaga over these fragrances. I think for designer fragrances, they're pretty decent. Still not my all-time favorite fragrances. I'm not going to compare. I am going to compare to Dior Homme Parfum once again. I think the gold standard of all fragrances in the designer world is Dior Homme Parfum. These do have a synthetic kind of a smell to them. It makes sense. To me, the smoked woodiness has a bit of a plasticky smell to it. And then, of course, not liking that Stronger With You DNA, which I get from the leather, there's something cheap and fake sweet about the sweetness in Stronger With You men's fragrances, if that makes sense. So in general, I like these fragrances, but I think those of you that are on a budget, I don't think you should spend the money to hunt these things down. They're not like, oh my god, they're the best fragrances ever, if that makes sense. They're not. I wouldn't do that. I did a video on Middle Eastern fragrances. If you can get those, get your hands on those. I think those are a lot more interesting and a lot less expensive than these fragrances, because these fragrances are made just like those Middle Eastern fragrances that are inexpensive from the Latafa and those kind of houses. So if you have fragrances like that, you're probably not going to need these fragrances unless you're a collector and you're collecting all of the flankers for Stronger With You fragrances from Armani, and you gotta have the leather and you gotta have the oud. But other than that, if you can't find them, I wouldn't really spend a lot of time searching for these fragrances, because there's a lot of fragrances out there like this. And as I said, those Middle Eastern houses, and I recently did a video about them, they're really inexpensive. Latafa and those kind of houses that have like fragrances for $20, $30, $40. I think they're comparable to these fragrances, and you're also not going to spend as much money for them. For me, it's nice for me to have these as a collector. I would never buy the original line of Stronger With You, but I am curious, and I'm going to keep these on hand just to have, because yeah, they did something a little interesting. I'm sad they made it for the Middle East exclusively, but glad I got my hands on them. But I wouldn't rush out to search for these if you can't find them. Quite pricey, good to have them. They're good fragrances, not wow fragrances. And those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on these two fragrances? Armani Stronger With You Leather, are you a fan? Armani Stronger With You Oud, are you a fan? Again, my favorite is the leather. I think I can actually layer these two together. I never did that. I think the sweetness in here might be a little too sweet, and the smokiness in here definitely is too smoky. The two together might be really an explosive combination, so I'm going to try that next. But if you guys have tried these, do let me know. I think there's definitely a DNA flowing from one to the other, and of course it is Stronger With You, and I'm assuming that DNA is transferred over here from the original fragrance line, and it's going from one to the other. So I think the layering will be a good job, because I do get leather, I get leather in the oud as well, and this is all about leather. I don't get oud here, but the oud and the smoke in here would definitely complement this. So I think this layering duo might be explosive. So for that reason, might be fine. But once again, I don't think you need to rush out to get these fragrances. There's so many other fragrances out there that might be even less expensive and not, put a lot of effort into searching and finding a fragrance and ordering from some place far away, and then you get the fragrance, you'd be like, oh, is that what this is all about? I wasted all that time and money for it, kind of a thing. I've done that before, and I'm sure you guys have done that before as well. But if you're a collector, yeah, go get them. Anyway, those are my thoughts today on Armani's Stronger With You leather fragrance and Armani's Stronger With You oud fragrance. What are your thoughts on these two fragrances? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are you just okay with it? Do let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching this video today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.